You're listening to East of the Rockies, the Michigan Students Softball Podcast on WCBN Sports.
Well, Mr. Burns had done it. The power plant had won it, with Roger Clemens clucking all the while. Mike Scioscia's tragic illness made us smile, while Wade Boggs lay unconscious on the barroom tile. We're talking softball, from Maine to San Diego, talking softball. Mattingly and Canseco, Ken Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw, Steve Sachs and his running with the law. We're talking Homer, Ozzie and the Straw.
That is right, folks. We are talking Homer, Ozzie, and the Straw. East of the Rockies, Season 1, Episode 7, coming at you from the basement of the Student Activities Building. My name is Morris Fabry. Across the glass with me, I have Kevin Klein. Unfortunately, no Jeremy today, and that is a tragedy.
I'm so disappointed.
His schedule has interfered, but
Hashtag academics. I mean, Cardell Jones said we came here to do softball podcasts. We didn't come here to do school.
Something like that. That was the gist of it.
No, that was the tweet. I mean, look it up. It was from 2012.
Yeah, I think we retweeted it during our coverage of that game down in Columbus. But that's neither here nor there. No, Jeremy, we're going to power through. We got some interviews for you on the pod today, and we've got a whole host of games to talk about. So first and foremost, this weekend, the Michigan Wolverines played the Kent State Golden Flashes, and this happened first as broadcast on Big Ten Network Student U.
The payoff pitch, got her on the outside corner. Brownfield down on strikes. A no-hitter for Megan Betza. She strikes out 17 Kent State Golden Flashes hitters and records a no-hitter, a nice topping or another accolade to her decoration.
That Kevin Klein's call on Big Ten Student U of the no-hitter. In the booth, in the press box, right next to Big Ten Student U, this was the call from WCBN Sports' broadcast of that very same moment.
Percentage, co-leader in walks.
Full count now. Betza gets the sign. The payoff pitch. Curveball called strike 3. Megan Betza has done it. It is a no-hitter for Michigan's ace and 17 strikeouts through 7 innings. She gets a standing ovation from the crowd, and Michigan's going to take home a 2-0 win over the Kent State Golden Flashes.
All right. So those are the two calls, Kevin, you and I, on this pod.
I mean, they sounded very familiar. I feel like I was almost there or something.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. So Megan Betza had a crazy weekend, but the real question to break down, not this softball team, but our broadcasts, who did it better? Who had the better call of the no-hitter? It's annoying that Jeremy is not here because he would have been the voice of reason. He would have been an arbiter.
The tie-breaking vote.
Yeah, he would have been the go-to, but now it's just us two defending our respective calls. And it's tough to do so because they're two different mediums, two different levels of production. Would you have any leaning one way or another, really?
I'm very indifferent. Just as we are on this podcast, we are unbiased in terms of the calls. But honestly, there were two really good calls, and at the end of the day, looking at that game, what Megan Betza was able to do, I think, and I don't know about you, Mo, I noticed it in about the third inning because she set down the first 9 Kent State hitters, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, like she has the stuff. Kent State, not a great offensive team aside from Maddie Grimm and Holly Spears. She has a chance to do this. And I mean, at the end of the day, 2 walks, but she was fantastic. It was just strikeout after strikeout.
Yeah, Kent State had no chance against her, and Michigan had already set the tone against the Golden Flashes with Tara Blanco's lights-out outing the previous Sunday in Lexington, but just paled in comparison to what we saw from Betza.
Every time that Betza and Blanco face the same competitor, and Blanco, for some reason, starts the first game and strikes out 10 or 13 or 10, some crazy number, I almost feel like Betza takes it personally, and she says, I got to get at least 3 more.
Yeah, the competition between them has really been something else so far throughout the year. a little cause for concern as Betsa pitched her second game that weekend, a 7-inning, 1-hit affair when she struck out 13, totaling 14 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 30 strikeouts, pretty good ratios. But throughout that Sunday game against Kent State, she got some early mound visits, even when she was in the middle of striking out 5 batters in a row to start the game. It seemed like her back might be maybe not necessarily causing her enough issues that she'd be taken out of the game, but maybe something was flaring up. Is that the vibe that you got?
I think so. And it seems to me like her back is so, it's fluky because it acted up a little bit last year in the regional and super regional, ended up not being an issue, but it seems to me even when she's injured or nicked up, depending on the severity obviously varies, but she can still perform. So it's just a matter of, everyone's knocked around a little bit and nicked up at this point in the season. It's just whether or not she can pitch. And obviously, she pitched well over the weekend with that tight back, and she came back today against Eastern Michigan for 3 innings. And I mean, look, if you would have told me she had a tight back today against Eastern Michigan, I mean, she looked fabulous. 3 innings, 6 strikeouts, came out to strike out the first 4 she faced. So it's just a matter of keeping that pressure off the back of Megan Betsa because it's very important. But definitely a cause for concern if it gets any more severe than what it is now.
Yeah, definitely. Michigan winning those 2 games that she pitched against Kent State by scores of 2 and 3-0 respectively. Both come up against Ronnie Ladinas, a very solid pitcher for the Golden Flashes, I should say. The Wolverines looked a lot better against her in that second game on Sunday. And the offense has really turned things around, so Megan Betsa won't have to strain her metaphorical back carrying this team to wins.
One thing I want to, before we move on to the Michigan offense, is Ronnie Ladinas has really impressed me. I got to see her twice in person in Lexington, once against Kentucky, once against Michigan, and then twice this weekend in the Kent State series. She can hold her own. And if not for Megan Betsa and just her excellence, Ronnie Ladinas would be a great story to talk about. Just a really fantastic pitcher and can also swing the stick pretty well as well. But Megan Betsa, just her greatness just overshadowed anything Ladinas could have done this weekend. But you're absolutely right. Going back to the offense woke up a little bit this past weekend, especially these 2 games, these midweek Maction games. That's what was the whole advertisement, which is very encouraging. Especially, Aiden Falk has been really good over these last 1 to 2 weeks. She's just been absolutely incredible from that cleanup spot, and that's so encouraging if you're a Wolverine fan because finally that cleanup spot is locked down. It's not going to be a revolving door. You probably know it's going to be Aiden Falk day in and day out.
Aiden Falk, your breakout player in episode 1 of this very podcast, of which I don't think there's any evidence anymore. But no bias in play there?
No,
we are unbiased.
No. We are unbiased here.
Yeah, no, she has been phenomenal, double after double after double. But there was production coming from other sources as well. Faith Canfield, very solid in that weekend against Kent State. Tara Blanco hit a home run today. Katie Alexander went yard yesterday. And before we move on to discuss this further, actually got to talk to head coach Carol Hutchins today, and we will cue the music for the every podcast Mo Interviews Hutch segment.
This is my favorite segment.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel.
No sad music, because today I only got to ask Coach Carol Hutchins one question on the record, and that was about the lineup, and it actually went pretty well. So without further ado, here is the interview with Coach Carol Hutchins.
All right, just to start things off, what are your biggest takeaways from this week?
Well, we're just, the kids all say it, we're just working to get better. And, we've been working on our swings and working on our timing. And, we saw some well-hit balls. We've hit 2 home runs in 2 games. That's definitely an improvement. I've been, as the season's progressed, I think we have better power than our numbers show. And so, that's been our focus in our practices. And, we've had a lot of kids coming in extra in the last week, and their desire to get better is very is what a coach wants to see. So we're just working to get better. We're a better team than we were a week ago.
What went into the decision to pitch to start Tara today for the second straight day in the circle instead of Megan?
Well, Megan's back kind of acted up over the weekend a little bit, and she was tight yesterday, and we did certainly pitching in the cold is tough. It's the toughest of anything, and we were a little concerned with that. And it's good for Tara to have to carry the load. Good for Tara to have to pitch 2 days in a row. But our intent today was to split the game, and it ended up working out really.
So you did plan on.
We did intend to. Megan felt better as long as we kept her very warm, and she felt good. So she felt good, and she looked like she felt good.
And a little more broadly, what do you think of Tara's performance today and even yesterday too, just combined?
I'm pleased. I feel like Tara's really settling in to her role as a pitcher, a starting pitcher for us, and she does what she can to get through innings. She gave up 3 or 4 hits in a row there, but she got out of the inning, and it didn't seem to faze her, and she just kept working for it. She's really been working to be in her one-pitch focus, and I thought she was pretty one-pitch focused.
And following a big weekend for Aiden Falk, with another key to RBI double today, what do you think has allowed her to find recent success in pressure situations?
Hopefully she's settling into the fact she's in the 4-hole, which is a big RBI spot. She seems like she's, again, we played now 26 or 7 games. It's, I like this particular lineup, so I think she's settling in herself.
So more on the lineup, you put Abby Ramirez in the 6-hole, Faith in the 2. What was the rationale behind those decisions?
Well, that 1 and 2 lineup wasn't, with Abby in the 2-hole, and we weren't producing. And we produced more runs when we went to it. The 6-hole, if you study sabermetrics, will tell you that is often a leadoff spot, so you can put a slapper in that spot. And Abby's kind of a unlikely RBI producer, but with runners on base, she's actually, we don't bring in a hitter for her because Abby's good. So I've liked that lineup. I like having her down there in a little starting role, and so far that lineup's been productive, so that's why.
You mentioned sabermetrics just there. Do you guys study sabermetrics in determining lineup decisions or anything else?
Or when to bunt and so forth?
Stuff like that.
Well, we've got the last few years we've studied it a little more, and it's interesting stuff. I'm not an expert at it. Don't come to me for sabermetrics, but
how often would you say you make decisions, based off of that?
Well, I don't know. A lot of the decisions I make sometimes they're just my gut, and if I don't have a gut feeling, then I'll probably go to a different source, which could be a sabermetric or just see what my staff says.
All right, so that was our interview with head coach Carol Hutchins. A lot of those questions from the Michigan Daily. Interestingly enough, before I got her on record, she came in, she was discussing with Megan Betza the odd question that we ask about, is a hot dog a sandwich? And she came out very pro hot dog sandwich. I didn't have my recorder on at the time.
It's not on record. I mean, I don't believe it.
Kev, weren't you in the room for part of that?
No, I was in the room for all of it, but if it's not on the record, I just don't take it as fact.
Anyway, she was very adamant that a hot dog is a sandwich.
And then, you know what? It was actually a really great story because she went into the whole fact that Marley, her dog, likes hot dogs and goes to the concession stand after every game because he knows that hot dogs are waiting him at the concession stand. So too bad it was not on record.
Yeah, it's a shame. And also, I basically said I was too scared to ask her the hot dog question.
I would be too.
I told her that I was too scared to ask her, which is kind of a weird vibe if you ask me. But I'd say the whole Mo interviews Hutch vibe is a weird one, from the jump.
It varies week to week for sure.
Yeah, but Carol Hutchins definitely in a great mood. Going back to the lineup changes that she made, the main one, other than dropping Tara Blanco to the 5 spot, putting Aiden Falk at the cleanup, Abby Ramirez hitting 6th. And Hutch actually talked a bit about how sabermetrically inclined that sort of choice was. And I found that, I think she found it pretty funny, but I found it funny as well because I've been critical of her in the past for, some sorts of small ball decisions that have not been that sabermetrically inclined, so to speak. But it seems like the team does incorporate that in their decision making.
And I think the reasoning you heard Hutch say that, well, that other lineup with Peters and Ramirez at the top wasn't producing, but I think what it does is it splits the lineup in two, because your first chunk of the lineup is Peters, and then you have 3 or 4 power hitters in a row, like Canfield, Christner, Falk, and Blanco. And then you have the second part of the lineup where you have Ramirez, and if she can get on, then it's Montemurano, who's putting together good at-bats and can reach base. Then it's Richardson or the designated player, whoever that may be. I'm still on hashtag Team Vargas. Please hashtag that. And then Katie Alexander, who's been swinging a pretty good bat too. So it puts the lineup in 2 pieces, and I really like that because it doesn't make the top of the lineup predictable, and I think that's such a critical part for Michigan to not become predictable, not fall into the same trap when you're at the top of the lineup. And I think it makes it makes it more spread out in terms of what type of hitters that Carol Hutchins is sending up, lineup spot after spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to give us too much credit for this, but I did mention at the end of last week's podcast that if there were one change that I would make, it would be to break up the Slap Sisters in the order. Lo and behold, I'm not going to say Carol Hutchins listens to our podcast for advice, but, if you were doing the same thing, you'd come out with the same result as a 1,500-win softball head coach. So we must be doing something right here. Also, hashtag Team Vargas. What does Amanda Vargas do? Was it yesterday against Bowling Green? Came out 4 for 4. 2 for 2 with 4 RBI. She was not 2 for 2.
2 for 3.
2 for 3, but 4 RBI. She started off 2 for 2. My memory isn't what it used to be. But, yeah, very, very solid coming up with runners in scoring position and getting the job done. And that's what you want out of that DP spot when Tara Blanco's in the circle.
Well, finally someone took advantage of an opportunity with runners in scoring position, and that would be Amanda Vargas. But the more and more I think about it, and I said it last week on the podcast, I want to see Amanda Vargas get more at-bats. I just don't know where they're going to come from.
Tara's swinging the bat well.
Yeah. I mean, that average still at 206 after today's game, but everything she's hitting is hard and it's on the right side. That swing is shortening up, and she's finally regaining some power. She should have had a base hit today or yesterday. It was a hot shot to the second baseman, and it was just gloved. It was a nice defensive play. But today with that 3-run home run, where to go? Right field. So everything is inside out, and that's where you start to regain that swing. So Tara's on the upswing.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of hard line drives against Bowling Green in yesterday's 7-1 victory over the Falcons, and a home run finally getting rewarded for that hard contact in an 8-2 win over the Eastern Michigan. They are the Eagles right now, correct? All right, the Eastern Michigan Eagles today. High flying except on the box score. Another aspect of the lineup that may be starting to round into form, the catcher position. Katie Alexander, we saw Tuesday against Bowling Green, hit a ball about as far as we've seen a Wolverine hit the ball this year. Without further ado, Kevin, you talked to her earlier today, so here's the content of that interview.
All right, so graduating from Saline High School, Ann Arbor, Michigan has always been in your backyard. Was this always the goal to come here?
Yeah, I wanted to go to school here my whole life, basically. Growing up around the softball field here and coming to the games, I knew that this was the place I wanted to go. And, quite frankly, I didn't want to play softball anywhere else. If I didn't play here, I don't know what I would have done, so I'm really happy with being able to come here.
So what was the recruiting process like then?
I guess, I was kind of late, but I always had this in mind. And then towards the end of my junior year, I had a pretty good year that year. And they told me I would have a spot here if I wanted to come, so obviously I chose that.
All right. Do you make any adjustments when you're catching Tara versus when you're catching Megan?
Technique-wise, Megan's ball, you just have to prepare for it because it moves a lot. Technique-wise, though, no, not really. But, like, personally, knowing how they react to, like, and how when they, like, aren't throwing well and what I need to say to each one of them, like, that's different, I guess you would say.
So that's one of my questions is when you go out there to the circle, try to calm them down, is the message lighthearted? Is it all business, or what is that like?
I guess there's times when like, I'm going to have to tell them, like, you guys, I know you can be throwing better than that, and you need to do it right now. But then there's also times where, like, we're both just, we need to, like, breathe. We do yoga, so we talk about breathing a lot. So that's something I always say when I go out there. But I guess I'm, like, we're harder on each other when we have to be. And I think, like, the seniors have really, like, showed us underclassmen that this year. So I'm starting to learn how to do it better. But, yeah, it just depends.
So on Saturday you caught Megan's no-hitter. Did you know that she had a no-hitter going?
I just remember hearing, like, strike 3. I wasn't counting, but I knew it was a lot. I didn't know she broke a record because she strikes, like, people out all the time. But it was pretty cool to be in that game with her.
So you didn't even have any
I
idea
didn't
that
really
was
know.
going on?
I just knew there was a lot of them.
Do you think she had an idea that it was going on?
Yeah, I guess, because, like, every inning it was, like, 1, 2, 3 strikeouts, no hit balls or anything.
She had 17 of them. So.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then, like, thinking, there's only 21 outs in a game.
Exactly.
That's shocking.
So with an increased role this year, is there something that you had to work on or that, you struggled with because of that increased role?
No. Basically, I feel like for myself, I let my own mind kind of get in my way. I always know I can do it. I never, like, lack the confidence. But when I start to think of things I could be better and things I'm not doing well, then I start to, like, continue to not doing well. And when I do the best is when I'm just going to be working at it and not thinking about failure and thinking about, like, succeeding every time.
All right. So yesterday against Bowling Green, you hit one of the farthest home runs I've ever seen hit at Alumni Field. I'm not kidding about that.
Yeah.
Take me through that at bat, because that was one where you had to battle back. You were down in the count and fouled some good pitches off, and then eventually got the home run.
Yeah, well, I've been, like, obviously getting a lot more bats than I ever have. And recently, like, last Sunday, I didn't do that well up at the plate. But I just think, like, be resilient. And then I've been coming in to, like, work on different things. And that at bat, like, I remember it being 3-2, and then right before that pitch was thrown, like, I was having, like, a feeling. I'm like, I'm just really feeling it right now. I'm just trying to be loose, and, like, I just used my legs finally, and the ball went over the fence, so it was cool.
Did you see where it landed?
I didn't see where it landed. I just saw it go really high.
It definitely hit the trees behind that batter's eye.
Yeah.
I don't know if it hit the batter's eye though, but it was a
it felt really good.
Your defense is something really special to watch. We enjoy watching it. Have you always had a knack for that, or where did that come from?
Over the summer, me and Alex worked a lot on like stepping up, because Aiden caught last year and we knew, like, okay, we're going to be sophomores, like, it's time to step up and learn more technique. And I love to block the ball, and when Megan throws that changeup and I just block it and get up and throw it to first, like, I love that feeling. And I just have been really taking pride in doing that, because I want the pitchers to succeed, and I know that that's my part, is to help them get strikeouts. So I guess I take pride in all that.
So you and Alex, I'm assuming, are pretty close?
Yeah, we're pretty close.
Are you always bouncing ideas off of each other or tips?
Yeah, in practice, and, like, we always make each other laugh. We're like competing against each other, so it's fun, like, every day in practice, and I like to see her succeed just as much as I like to see myself.
What's it like to be back at Alumni Field playing?
I love it. I'm having flashbacks of, like, last year when we had, like, a lot of postseason here, and just thinking of, like, the culture that we have and all the great people that have played before us and stuff. And just, like, I love home games. It's so fun because, like, everybody in the crowd is supporting you, and it's really cool to be back.
So you're probably looking forward to the Big Ten tournament then?
Yes, that's awesome that it's here. Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
So one last question. We have a podcast-wide debate and would like your input on it.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, wow. I guess I would consider it a sandwich. Yeah, because sometimes when I don't have hot dog buns, I use, like, regular bread. So I would say it's a sandwich. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much for your time. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks.
it.
Sorry, my hand's kind of sweaty.
No, mine's freezing cold. It's cold out there. So thank you.
All right, and that was the interview with Katie Alexander. What do you think of her, Kev?
Really good interviewer, or interviewee, I guess. And I asked her about that that home run, and I wasn't lying. That was the farthest home run ball I've ever seen hit at Alumni Field. Either team, whoever Michigan was playing. And she said, well, actually right before that pitch, that I was just trying to put my legs through it. I had a good feeling. And what a shot. That was a no-doubter. I believe you were on the call with me, and we were both saying, I think it hit the batter's eye of Ray Fisher. I really do.
Yeah, I think so, too. I was, unbiased, but with my fist in the air as soon as that one left the bat of Katie Alexander. I found it interesting, the tidbit about how she finally, put her legs into a swing. And I might go off on a tangent a bit, but I think that's why improvement can be so inconsistent throughout softball, throughout baseball, etc. There's just so many aspects that go into a successful swing, into meeting a pitch wherever it is with the most power possible, barreling up a ball that, so many little things can go wrong to deter a swing. That's why progression for players is not sort of a linear thing. That's why we don't see Tara Blanco going from a 300 average to a 400 average to hitting 450 with more home runs. There are so many little things, and that's why I think also there's hope for improvement at certain spots, because if players like Katie Alexander, subject Montemurano, can just start to more consistently put all those aspects of their swing into play, as they will with more practice, I think we'll see more results.
Yeah, and the other thing I took away from the interview is there are so many aspects of a catcher's game that need to be worked on. I mean, because the catcher is hitting in the lineup, and you heard Alexander talk about, I'm working on, putting my legs into it, or I've been working on different things, before the games. Then there's the defense, when you have to block and or catch a changeup as good and as deadly as Megan Betsa's. There's just so many different things, and to be able to compete and perform at a high level like Alexander's been this year, I think outside of Aiden Falk, I think Katie Alexander is one of the nice bright spots of the team. But it just hats off to these student athletes that are constantly working to improve their game and putting results on the field. It was very interesting to hear what Katie Alexander had to say.
All right. And, since we're in the middle of a bunch of interviews, we've already talked plenty about Megan Betsa, but I also talked to Megan Betsa today.
You talked to me, too. I know you were about to say Kev. I did talk to you plenty,
yeah. And I'm talking to you right now. But anyway, we're going to play that interview for you. It was also a very nice interview. Megan Betsa, interesting to talk to, totally willing to go in depth on her answers. And, I appreciate that, because I'm not always the best at coming up with questions. But anyway, here's what she had to say today. All right, so first things first, got your fourth no-hitter of your career against Kent State on Saturday. How aware are you of those things as they happen?
It's something that I'm aware of, but I don't really focus on it, and I feel like if I focus on it, then I try too hard or get out of my process.
Makes sense. So no superstitions like isolating in the dugout or anything like that?
No, I'm not a very superstitious person, so just kind of go with the flow.
That's right. Did anybody mention it to you before the game ended?
No, we don't do that.
So everybody else was along with it then?
I don't know if everyone else knew or not, but I assume so.
That's fair. What's your favorite game that you've thrown throughout your career, if you had to pick one?
My favorite game? Probably the Alabama game my sophomore year at the World Series, my very first time in the World Series. That was a cool experience, just kind of get out there in that atmosphere. That's probably one of my favorites. I can't say it's my favorite because I don't really know what my favorite is.
That's fair. So describe your arsenal as best you can, without giving stuff away to the scouts or whatever.
So I have really good spin. That's always been my game. Ever since I was young, that's been something that I've tried to master. I've done a lot of drills, used a lot of different tools to perfect my spin. That's something we worked on in the fall when I couldn't pitch. We just focused on perfecting that. Rise, curve, change are my main three. And then we've worked a little bit on some other pitches recently to add those in when I'm behind in the count or just to give me some other options.
And that's the scout stuff that
Yeah.
maybe don't need to disclose.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have that arsenal kind of in place before you came to Michigan?
No. I mean, I had like a drop ball, but it didn't really drop. It was kind of like a fastball. So I've just worked on like using that a little bit more when I'm ahead in the count and just kind of trying to get the actual drop to it. And it's worked a lot better this year.
For sure. So who would you say you've learned the most from in your time at Michigan, whether it be a teammate or coach?
I mean, obviously Biggie. She teaches me a lot every day. But I think, honestly, I've learned a lot from myself. I think I've taught myself a lot, and I've learned from my mistakes and my failures, which I think has made me stronger in the end. So.
Has there been any difficulty adjusting to the regular season grind this year after the off season that you had?
No, I actually feel fresher than I have in years past at this time, probably because I didn't really do much in the fall. And we're just approaching things differently. My conditioning is less fatiguing, but still just as difficult cardio-wise. And, I mean, we've adjusted my lifts to make sure that they're not too strenuous, but that I'm still keeping my muscle mass. So.
All right. So when you're in the circle, you face a lot of different hitters. Do you change your approach at all depending on whether you see, like a slugger or a slapper or a star or anything like that?
Nope. Biggie calls all the pitches, and I trust that she knows the scouting report and she knows what to throw the hitters. She sees what they're doing in the box and their tendencies, so I just put my trust in her.
How often do you shake them off?
Very rarely. I think if I ever see something in the box that maybe she can't see, like where they are on the plate versus like something like that, then maybe I will. Or if I'm trying to work on something that day, then...
That's fair. So you see a lot of visitors in the circle throughout the game, whether it be an infielder, a catcher, or a coach. Who's your favorite person to talk to out there?
I don't know. I mean, everyone has their own different message, I think. Usually if Biggie's out there, it's something mechanical. If Hutch is out there, it's something mental. And then when Katie comes and sees me, it's usually because I'm working too quickly or just kind of out of my rhythm, so she's just giving me time to relax.
All right. Tara, your counterpart, has been really impressive this season. Are you surprised at all at how well she's done?
No, she worked so hard in the fall, and she improved so much. I think mentally she's so much stronger than she has been in years past, and I think that's a big thing. We've actually gotten super close just from her being the other half of, this journey. So that's been really cool to kind of get to know her in other ways. But, yeah, not surprised at all.
All right. Did you see anything, last year that would have led you to expect this, or is it just mostly witnessing her work?
Yeah, I mean, she's just got a really good work ethic, and when she wants something, she goes after it. So I think that kind of that was a big part in it. When she knew she had to fill the other half, Sarah's half, I think she kind of just accepted that, and she just did it, and she's headstrong. So.
All right. So we saw you pick up a bat a couple of weeks ago. How much do you think you can offer in the offensive department?
Not much. I was a hitter before coming to Michigan, and I hit a little bit my freshman year, but it's not really good for my back, so it was something that kind of just happened because of the pitching substitution, and it was fun, though. It's probably the most fun I've had all year, so.
Well, good to hear. There's a place for that.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple more. First, we've been trying to find a nickname for the rotation on our broadcast because we're kind of folksy idiots like that. And one that was suggested that I really liked was the Peach and the Beach. You from Georgia, the Peach, and Tara Blanco from Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
The Beach. What do you think?
I think it's cute.
All right, we might roll with it.
All right.
And finally, one question that we ask everyone who comes on and gets interviewed: is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
All right. That's cool. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Talking to
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a good one. All right, so that was our interview with Megan Betza, and I got to give a shout-out to Stu Burlow and Griffin Hickman for the Peach and the Beach nickname. I think that's one that's going to stick on at least WCBN's broadcast.
#cute.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Slap Sisters was a cute nickname. The Peach and the Beach was a cute nickname. I'll take it, but I wish there would be a little more variance.
Like a
in that.
full endorsement, is that what you're looking for?
Exactly. Like, oh, that is absolutely brilliant. Thanks for coming up with. I'm gonna, tell my team we're gonna get matching tattoos. That's the kind of thing I'd like to hear in response to the brilliance that is our broadcast.
I can only imagine 20 years down the line. I don't know where you guys will be, but Mo runs into Betsa and, I don't know, Timbuktu, and she's got a Peach and the Beach tattoo on her wrist or something like that. So that's what you want? That's the goal?
That is the ideal scenario down the line. Yeah, shout out Stu and Griffer for coming up with that nickname. Also, Biggie's Bees. Because Biggie, a nickname for Jennifer Brundage, was one that they came up with. I think I like Peach and the Beach. It's got the ring to it, though.
Both have a nice alliterate or rhyming / alliteration. I'm not an English major by any stretch.
For sure. They said they'd come up with 8 more nicknames by Oklahoma City, so I'm waiting on it.
So they're guaranteeing Oklahoma City then?
Oh, of course. I mean, come on.
All right, fair enough.
They come from the JP School of Optimism.
I know. I'm missing that bullish vibe right now.
Maybe that's why he's not with us today, though, because we've got reason to be bullish. This team has won.
We're back on track. I'm ready to go. OKC, here we come.
This team has won 5 in a row since coming home. The lineup is clicking. The rotation is as good as it's been and getting better with every start. We saw Terra Blanca really confident yesterday against Bowling Green. Mostly more of the same stuff. Betsa. I think they had actually planned on bringing in Megan Betsa for a couple innings today, so that bullpen work that she got was probably just kind of stretching her out for the weekend. But yeah, with this weekend, Michigan is going to be opening up their Big Ten slate.
You mentioned coming home back to Alumni Field. Do you know the winning percentage that Michigan has at Alumni Field since its opening?
Give me an over-under that's close to it. And
Over-under 750.
Oh, I think it's over that.
Oh. Well, that's not fun.
I'm right, aren't I?
Yeah, it's 800. I mean, that's crazy. You think of how many games Michigan has played at home and how many times, a ball can bounce in a certain way that decides the game and how many times Michigan has come on top. That is pretty impressive. They are really tough at Alumni.
Absolutely, and it's in no small part to the fans that show up. The stadium wasn't full these weekends, but, more crowds than you would ever expect in 30-degree weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Penn State gets welcomed into that environment this weekend. I think it's supposed to warm up some, even if the weather will still be a bit dreary. But Penn State this season, nothing special.
No. This needs to be a 3-0 sweep. It needs to be. And that's the mentality that the team needs to have going forward, because with 7 losses on the year, you want to still be in consideration for hosting a regional and maybe a super regional. And the SEC teams are going to have to play each other. So LSU probably going to have a couple more losses. Alabama going to have more losses. Florida, same thing. Michigan doesn't have to play those tough teams until they face, and I'm assuming they'll face Minnesota somewhere along the line in that Big Ten tournament. They need to take advantage of a below average schedule, and if they don't, they will be left out of hosting hosting a regional, that's for sure.
Yeah, Penn State, I believe their only game against the Wolverines last year came in the Big Ten tournament down in Happy Valley. Michigan won that one 6-1, if I'm not mistaken. Marlena Laubach returns for this team. She's the ace of the staff. She's done decently well against the Wolverines over the course of her career. They've got some solid returning hitters, but they're still only a mid-tier Big Ten team in a weak conference. 12-14 on the season. They've got 1 win over LSU, but every good team they've played since then, they've gotten destroyed.
Yeah, that Washington, they've played Washington 3 times, and Washington's a very good team. They're going to want to forget those 3 games. I believe they were outscored 37-3 in the 3 games combined. All 3 were 5-inning run rules, so maybe they'll fare better a little bit against Michigan. But Michigan's just got too much talent. And one thing that I've been so impressed and encouraged by over the last week is when the opposition, like Kent State, or yesterday against Bowling Green, today against Eastern Michigan, when they make an error and it could be costly, they take advantage of it 100% of the time. Today, that error, I'm blanking on who.
We don't need to know a name.
Right, but that error in the third inning that led to the 5-run frame, they took advantage of it. It was hit after hit after hit. Same thing over the weekend, even though Kent State made some fine defensive plays, and I think you and Mo, you and I disagree on that, but they take advantage of those errors, and they still work good at bats, and that's what's allowed them to score a bunch of runs, even if they're not hitting the ball over the fence.
For sure. And yeah, I wouldn't argue that Kent State didn't make really good plays out there, but they also made their fair share of really dumb mistakes, and that ended up costing them the game. But yeah, it's refreshing to see Michigan take advantage of other teams' mistakes, because they did that in pretty much every game they played last year, and we just didn't see that in the non-conference schedule. Now they're home, they're playing against weaker competition, but it seems like they're back to their winning ways. And heading into the home slate, we were skeptical that they'd be able to clean up against these doormat teams as effectively as they have. But thus far, no bumps in the road, and that's exactly what you want to see out of the 5 games between the last podcast and this one. So before we get into our segments for the episode, Michigan is starting Big Ten play. We figured we'd just throw out a player to watch for in the Big Ten schedule. It'd be better if we had 3 rather than 2 players, but Jeremy's not here. His schedule is not working out. He will be on our broadcast this weekend, and he'll be back next weekend. We miss him today, but you got to move on.
#academics.
#academics. Like we're big on the hashtags this episode.
Oh, 100%. Any key phrase I say is going to be a hashtag, because it's going to get trending on Twitter. I guarantee it.
#Team Vargas. #cute. #the peach and the beach. #EOTR. All right, enough about that. Anyway, who is your Big Ten player to watch, Kevin, that we might not know about?
I am going to Columbus, Ohio. Boo.
Alex Bain?
No, actually not Alex Bain. It'll be Lily Piper, who has had a really surprising year, 365, leads the team in home runs in addition to RBIs. And when I was looking around the Big Ten, the first player I thought of was Alex Bain, because Bain has just been so good last year in particular, but struggled a little bit this year in terms of the average. Still, that home run power is there. But Lily Piper has been absolutely fantastic. She's only a sophomore, and really just hitting the cover off the softball. Look out for her, and look out for Bain once that average creeps back up.
For sure. So there are a number of ways I could have gone with my player to watch. Could have gone out to Minnesota, decided against it because they get enough publicity anyway. Sarah Groenewagen's a monster. McKenna Partain, Kendall Lindemann are excellent freshmen for the team. They're a really good softball team, but I figured I'd go to an area thus far kind of undiscovered by the Wolverines, and that's to the Wisconsin Badgers. They're 20-2 to start the season. This has come against the kind of competition that Wisconsin basketball would normally play in non-conference, just to kind of beef up their win-loss record. They haven't played anybody. They haven't really beaten anybody, but you don't get to 20-2 by accident, and the driving force behind all of that has been their catcher, Chloe Miller. She is hitting .543 on the season. That's like Kelly Christner from the first 3 weeks, extended throughout the length of the season thus far. She's got 5 home runs, 2 triples, 11 doubles. It's only second on the team in RBI, but getting on base over 60% of the time. She's even stolen some bases, which as a catcher is pretty impressive. A senior behind the plate, so I imagine she can hold her own there too. Definitely a player to watch when Michigan eventually does take on the Wisconsin Badgers out in Madison later this year.
So, sidebar here, catchers, from my experience, do not like being called slow.
No?
No. I called some baseball games for an independent baseball league this summer, and I said that the catcher for one of the teams was not the fleetest of foot, and he took it to heart. Did not like what I said. He said he wanted to fight me in the parking lot.
That's a That's
it's harsh. It was harsh.
A little overly sensitive.
But
though.
I learned my lesson.
I guess. I mean, I've thrown shade at Aiden Falk's foot speed on broadcasts, and I think it's been called out by players listening. And
yeah, watch out, Mo.
Shoot, I haven't interviewed yet. That could be causing some tension. Maybe I should ease up on that. I mean, she's faster than me. I'll tell you that.
You know what? That's the other thing. I mean, I probably run like an 8.5 40, so I have no room to talk. None at all.
I'd like to think that my 40-yard is a bit faster than 8.5, but it's not that much faster. All right, so
that could be one of the segments going forward.
Yeah, Mo runs a 40. We'll see about that. Or the team runs a 40, yeah.
The team runs a 40 with Mo.
Yeah, there you go. Got to have my name on it. All right, so first segment, toss-ups. I don't have the coin flip sound effect queued up.
See, this is why we miss JP.
Yeah, he was always on top of this sort of stuff. But, we're experiencing a drop-off. We're fighting through it just to bring you the content that we're bringing you here at about 11:45 midnight on Wednesday night here in the basement of the SAB. So the first one, would you rather have Tara Blanco hit like last year and be shaky in the circle, or have her dominant in the circle as she has been and shaky in the batter's box?
Oh, I'm taking 2017 over 2016.
Yeah?
I really am. Because the thing is, she is still a feared hitter because she has 19 RBIs. Her on-base percentage always is near 400. It has been this year so far, even with that average just north of 200. So I will take a consistent pitching rotation because that'll keep you in ball games. There's still enough names on the team to get you those 4 or 5 runs that you need. All you need is Betts and Blanco to deal, and that's what they have been all year long. So, you know what? Blanco's bat, it's coming around. It's coming. Big Ten play is her time to shine. And I'll take whatever she's doing in the circle because she has been fantastic to watch.
Yeah, certainly a bit misleading comparing, this iteration of Blanco to last year's because, it kind of insinuates that she's doing nothing in the batter's box when she has been a productive member of the lineup. And you and I both agree that she'll turn things around, but I also agree, and it just boils down to fractions. 1 of 2 is greater than 1 of 9. You got only 2 pitchers who are throwing the most of your innings throughout the season. Without Tara Blanco in that rotation, this team would be, up crap creek without a paddle. Whereas,
Crap
even
Creek.
Yeah,
wow.
Got to censor ourselves, keep it PG. But if Tara Blanco had an average of 0 this season, you'd still have maybe not the same amount of wins, but a similar amount of wins. Just because you can work around one bat that's not working. Although it's a bat that Michigan's going to depend on. All right, so next toss-up, insert coin flip noise here. Whose performance has surprised you the most this season? Faith Canfield or Natalie Peters?
I'm going Peters because she really didn't have any playing time last year. Canfield was in the lineup in and out because Ramirez's legs weren't 100% healthy last year, so Romero slid over to short. Canfield was at second. So we kind of saw what Canfield could do offensively. This year I've been surprised by the glove of Canfield, but Natalie Peters has been totally from right field, in my opinion. There's the pun you all have been waiting for. But to be able to hit 350, solidify the top of the order, and as a sophomore, a first-year starter, I have had 0 doubts about the top of the order with Natalie Peters on top of it. So I'll go Peters.
Yeah, I have been impressed by Canfield's athleticism. She's got 7 stolen bases, doing her best to fulfill the shoes left by Sierra Romero. But yeah, I also have to agree with you just because I had no idea what to expect out of Natalie Peters. I knew Faith Canfield would be a solid hitter. I didn't think she'd hit 330. Didn't think she'd be tied for the team lead in home runs or a run producer in the number 2 spot in the order. But at the same time, yeah, I had no idea whether Peters even would have what it takes to be a consistent starter on the team. And here she is, top of the lineup, setting the table, stealing bases, scoring runs, and a solid right fielder to boot.
And has a home run.
And, has a home run. That was scored a home run today?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, It was a crazy play. I think the reason it didn't get scored in air, I believe, no one touched it. It just had some crazy spin on it and squirted away from the left field. I believe left fielder. I believe it was Lucy Lopez. But Peters really displayed her speed on that play because I was trying to make the call and she outran my voice. I swear to God, it was a fun play to watch. Fun to watch her run around the bases so quickly.
All right, so we've come in agreement on both of these so far. So that brings us to the next one, maybe a more contentious one. What is more difficult, broadcasting a doubleheader by yourself in both games or catching a deep fly ball in the swirling winds of Alumni Field? So this question arose in, I believe, the 5th or 6th inning of the Bowling Green broadcast when left fielder Haley Hoganrod, a fresh defensive replacement, misjudged a fly ball that looked off the bat as though it was going to clear the fence. Instead, it landed in deep left center field. I didn't insinuate that I would have made the catch, but that I would have at least wanted a shot at it, and Kev took issue with it. So where would you fall on this difficult question?
Catching the ball.
Yeah.
The winds were all over the place. Hoganrod is a really good defensive player. She's got a lot of speed too, so it's making the catch because I trust what Hoganrod has been able to do in the field so far. And broadcasting a doubleheader solo, you just talk about whatever. Doesn't even matter if it's pertaining to softball. Just talk. Fill the dead air.
Though 14 innings by yourself. Yeah, if you ever tried talking to yourself.
Think about this though. Think about this. Like, not Hoganrod because she only played a few innings, but Kelly Christner was out by herself 14 innings in center field. Just.
I mean,
by
she
herself.
gets to talk to her teammates between innings. She gets to go on.
Maybe what if she's isolated in the dugout? You never know. We can't see from our vantage point.
I'd like to think the chemistry on this team is a bit better than that at this point.
Didn't Hutch answer one of your questions about team chemistry?
What, with that I should ask them? Or is that a different question that we're talking about?
Probably. I mean, it was probably some, classic answer.
I don't know. I don't like asking about chemistry sort of issues. I don't know if there's much to it.
2 questions. Here's another sidebar. See, I'm really diverting from the main theme of this one. 2 questions I don't like talking about or asking someone or being asked. What are your emotions? And talk to me about the chemistry.
Yeah. Chemistry is like, everybody's going to have a similar answer with that. Nobody's going to say to a media member like, oh, the chemistry is terrible, I hate everyone.
We're really having some bad team chemistry.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Like, that's not going to, bring out some big media headlines. The other thing is, like, oh, what are your emotions that you hit the game-winning home run or drove in the game-winning? Oh,
I was actually thinking about my car payment at the time.
I'm pissed. I hit a 3-run home run, but I
wish I had hit it farther. Why'd it go to left field?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't a good swing. Like, those are so predictable answers.
Yeah, they're kind of pointless, but at the same time, some people need quotes and need player content to fill their pieces, and that's why we have the interviews that we have, because that's also why we ask questions that are kind of out there, and that brings us to our 4th toss-up without having answered the 3rd one. Chances this Peach and the Beach nickname sticks? I think it's staying around all year.
I mean, if Betsa said cute, basically you can say that she endorsed it. So 100%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything short of like, no, this is not acceptable, and we were going to keep running with it.
The only knock I have on it, and no disrespect to Stu or Griffin, it seems a little long. Like, could we hashtag it?
P and B?
I don't know.
I mean, they're 2 B last names, so P and B kind of seems overly reductive when we could just do B and B, which was the original nickname that we were trying to expand upon.
Yeah, and then you started going on, bed and breakfasts, and I don't know how that got into the broadcast.
Yeah, it was. I went on some tangents, Kev. It's hard to pay attention entirely throughout a 7-1 softball game.
So you're telling me that
Green.
You had a great play-by-play commentator in myself, and you had to go on a tangent, but you when you were doing 2 games solo, did you have to go on that many tangents?
I did at times. Fortunately, I had the basketball game to talk about at the time, which everybody else was watching in the press box at the time. I also talked some about baseball. But yeah, it was a little tough to listen to. I think the listeners can tell you that.
It's tough explaining the action, telling that story, and then also providing analysis on what you just said, because you know how you're leading into the potential analysis.
Yeah, I wish that I could adopt two different personas. Like, oh, and Morris, what did you think of that play? Oh, I thought that she ranged into the hole quite well and threw across her body. Well, I disagree with you on that one more. It would be a fun broadcast, very difficult to sustain.
To clarify, this is not taking anything away from catching a fly ball in the wind at Alumni. I'm still on that side. Don't worry.
Yeah. It would be difficult. I love ball sports. I'd like to get a chance to play again. All right, so we're done with toss-ups. We're moving on to our next section, fill in the blank. So first things first, we're throwing ourselves right into the fire. Blank's call of Megan Betts' no-hitter was better. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, mine.
Kev's.
All right, we got that one. So Katie Alexander's Tuesday home run went blank feet.
I'm thinking at least, I want to say 300. I'm not great at guesstimating feet, though. I mean, if you said, oh, get 10 yards away from me, I would have zero idea where to place, where to be 10 yards away. I just can't do it. Mm-hmm. I'm saying 300 feet, though.
I would say about 260. It cleared that 220 by a decent margin.
See, now that you said that, I really want to say 260.
But yeah, 300, that's another third of the way to the fence. I don't know. I thought it was, it was hit hard, but maybe not the exact trajectory needed to go 300.
Now, granted, I do wear glasses most of the time, and I still think that ball hit the batter's eye of Ray Fisher.
Oh, I think it did too. I don't think it's 300 feet away, though.
Now, but you wear glasses too, so maybe it's just two sets of really bad glasses.
If I recall correctly, you weren't wearing glasses on yesterday's broadcast.
I mean, I'm putting my trust in my contacts.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe that's the discrepancy here. All right, after this weekend, I feel blank.
I feel good.
Na.
So good.
Yeah, is that what you're going with? Just good with the sing song to it?
I mean, I sang it, so it means more than just saying good.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel refreshed, reinvigorated.
Now, if I remember correctly, last week you were moving away from the team. You were
moving away from using wins and losses to quantify improvement.
So so I'm gonna flip this on you. So, what little things did you notice over the past 4 games that have really just made you appreciate the game of softball?
Well, I appreciated how Aiden Falk stretched the defense with her hitting. I appreciated seeing Tara Blanco's improvement in the circle, how she's been attacking hitters more. I appreciated the chance to see Alex Subject go play third base, because I didn't know that was even in her wheelhouse. Yeah, that's apparently a thing this season.
We definitely need to ask Hutch about that one.
We'll see. We'll work our way to
and
that.
when I say that, I mean you need to definitely ask Hutch about that one, because I mean I'm still trying to work up the courage.
All right, so the last one is an iffy one, but you put it on our Google Docs, so we're bringing it on the podcast. I would rather have done blank than hit off Megan Betts as a Kent State hitter this weekend.
I would have rather sat out in the cold today during that broadcast. She was so good at Kent State. I did not want to wear that Golden Flashes jersey this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I actually would have loved to have hit against Megan Betts as a Kent State hitter without any expectations, of course.
Do you think you can make contact?
No, I don't. I really don't.
So, if you get, I don't know, if Betts throws, she doesn't give you any junk, no change-ups, no curves, or anything like that. You think if she gives you 20 pitches, you make contact?
Yes. If there's no junk thrown in, but I don't want that. I don't want just stray rise balls.
So if she actually throws you she's pitching against, I don't know, the Florida lineup or Ocasio or something like that.
Oh, I don't have a chance.
I was gonna say, 'cause I mean her stuff is is disgusting.
Yeah, I don't have the slightest chance. I would love a chance, but I would humiliate myself.
I mean, she'd probably go rise at your eyes, high and tight, just to push you off the plate.
I might swing.
So it's 1-0. So I'll give you one at bat here.
All right.
And then she'll probably go outside corner, so it's 1-1 because you're not swinging at that. You got to take a strike.
until I get a strike.
Yeah, you take until you get a strike, right? And then she's like, "Oh, all right, I probably got him." So change.
Yeah, the drop.
The drop.
I'm out of my shoes on that one.
Yeah, you're swinging to the fences, but you get all air. Mm-hmm. So now it's 1-2. So now do you go at the eyes again, or do you put it in the dirt?
Oh, if I'm her, I go for the eyes. I've always been susceptible to high fastballs. So
I'm going right at your face.
Yeah. I'm going, if it's a rise ball and it's anywhere, away from about to hit me in the head, I'm going at it. I see it. I can hit it. Of course, I'd come up with nothing but air. But that's about how the at-bat would go.
I mean, I would pay a lot of money to see that, man.
You got me scouted, Kev. All right, so we're going to bring this episode to a close. We got to get home and get sleep, I would imagine. At least that's what I plan on doing. So one thing I learned and one thing I still want to know. First, we'll start with JP. JP. All right.
What was that, JP? Could you speak up?
Nope, no JP today. So I guess I will go first. One thing I learned is that Mr. Klein does not have the respect that he should for the art of solo radio broadcasting. One thing I still want to know is shoot, I don't know what I want to know. We'll get to that after you. I can put it off because I'm the host.
One thing I mean, the offense is still there. I really like what I saw out of Falk and Alexander. So I definitely the lineup's still there. I learned that. One thing I want to know, hey, keep it going. Let's keep it going.
That is a tenuous fit in the format of this segment. One thing I still want to know. Where do the hashtags end?
No, and that's the thing. I do want to sponsor a few hashtags here. Follow me on Twitter at Kevin Klein 24. Hashtag Team Vargas. Hashtag cute. I might even give you a hashtag Peach and the Beach.
Hashtag Kevin's account is a private one, though, so you're going to have to...
False.
Oh, no, you unprivatized it?
I unprivatized it because I thought I had a really solid tweet. I'm like, this one could be the one. I break through. I get 100 retweets, 400 favorites, and
then you retire off the earnings.
I thought that one of my previous tweets was it ended up getting 0 retweets and 0 favorites. Still not private though. So follow me at Kevin Klein 24. There's my unbiased opinion.
Amen. C'est la vie. That's going to do it for our East of the Rockies episode 7. Thank you to those of you who've tuned in. If you got any comments or questions, you could always email them to eotrpod@gmail.com. Something like that. I don't know. I might not have it right. JP's the one who usually will read that off.
Hashtag Team Vargas.
All right. We're going to leave you with a good night. Go Blue.
You're listening to East of the Rockies, the Michigan Student Softball Podcast on WCBN Sports.
Well, Mr. Burns had done it. The power plant had won it, with Roger Clemens clucking all the while. Mike Scioscia's tragic illness made us smile, while Wade Boggs lay unconscious on the bar.